If you have ongoing exposure to controlling people, it's a virtual certainty that you're going to experience blurry boundaries, which is why I've created the extensive online course called This Is Me, Establishing Boundaries with the Controllers in Your Life. There's a link below that will give you all of the details, and I hope that you would find it therapeutic. I wish I had $1 for every time a narcissist said something in my presence about why and how their way of life is really the best way to go. I mean, sometimes they'll just say something real brash like, hey, that's just the way I am. Or they can come across in a very straightforward way saying, well, I just don't really feel any need to change. Or I'm not the problem, you are. And so these individuals have this notion that says, well, actually, I'm the one that needs to set the standard around here, and the sooner you get that message, then we're going to get along just fine. And if a narcissist just had their way of thinking and being, and they just left everybody alone, I guess we could say that's one thing. But that whole pattern of narcissistic living doesn't just arise from a vacuum. It's there for a reason. Specifically, when narcissists come toward you and they have this unbending, non-budging style of interaction, and they've got all this control and this exploitation, they're looking for one thing. They're on the search. And the one huge thing that they want more than anything from you is submission. You need to submit to me. Now, we might ask, where do they come up with that? How did they arrive at the notion that says, yeah, that's a good way of doing things? Now, let's keep in mind that the need for dominance, which is the other end of submission, lies in direct proportion to a person's fear of being a nobody. Did you catch that? A narcissist's need for dominance lies in direct proportion to their fear for becoming a nobody. Narcissists are in constant compensation mode, and they're specifically have an ongoing compensation for the dread of being insignificant. And so when you couple that with their already enamored self-absorption, then that's a deadly combination. Let's see if we can get an idea of how this works. For example, let's suppose that you just have a difference of opinion regarding whatever kind of topic. They're going to show no willingness to say, well, maybe I can learn from you. In their mind, that would diminish them. And so they're thinking, no, submit. Or it could be that your priorities are different. You have differences in coordination or what your schedules may be. And again, somehow they think, well, if they go along with your priorities, that lessens them. It's like, oh, so you think I'm not important. You need to submit. Or let's suppose that you're just talking about your reaction to an event, or you're talking about the way that you engage with another individual and you're describing how it left you feeling and all. Even on something as simple as that, they may think, well, your activities or your interpretations don't synchronize with me, and they can start arguing about that. My memory or my way of looking at those kind of things is the only one that matters. You need to submit there too. Or let's suppose that you have, who knows what kind of variety in the lifestyle practices you have. Your preferences or your codes that you live with, or the people you deal with, or all sorts of social kind of things, or organizations that you belong to. And it's like, those are not the things that I belong to, and they have no sense or no appreciation for diversity. And so you're going to be criticized just for being different. In other words, submit. Be what I tell you ought to be, or you're going to get the wrath of my judgment. As if I'm going to be shaking in my boots about that one. Or let's suppose that you call that narcissist out for their illogic and even their phoniness, and you let them know, I see the chameleon-like way that you do things. You're this way with these people, and you're that way with these. I'm not there. The narcissist, they're not going to take that. They're going to put their thick walls of defensiveness up, and there's going to be an invalidation to you. You don't know what you're talking about. You need to submit to my ways. Didn't you get the memo? That's how they think. Or let's suppose when arguments arise and you're trying to come to terms with whatever it is that needs to be decided, and instead of saying, well, why don't you share your thoughts? I'll share mine. Let's see if we can find some sort of meeting in the middle. No, they go again straight into that dominance mode, and they're looking for one thing, and that is submission. Be what I tell you to be. And if they have to resort to the overpowering, dominating style of communication, they're all into that. Not at all bashful about that. Or then let's suppose that you decide to not follow their directives or not follow their advice. They're certainly going to play the victim card at that point. Look how miserable you're making my life. And then they're going to double down on their stubbornness. And it's like, I hath spoken, and you have to follow what I tell you to follow. Submit. And they just keep going back to that theme over and over and over. And these are just a few illustrations. I know you could come up with more of your own. Their need for dominance is so strong as a compensation for that fear of being a nobody that they're only going to be satisfied when they finally have conquered you, that you're living in subjugation to them, and then they get to lean back and say, see, I knew you'd see things my way. I am now a somebody. It's pretty pitiable when you look at that. Now, I want you to think, if you were to go into that submission mode, and I know some of you have, even though you may have argued and kicked and screamed and all the rest along the way, ultimately you wind up collapsing. What do you have to give up if you go into the submission that they're looking for you to go into? Well, frankly, quite a bit. If you cave and go into that dominance theme that they put onto you, one of the first things you lose is you lose your voice, your ability to say, here's where I stand. That's gone. That's what they're asking you to get rid of. You lose your freedom. You collapse under the agenda that they have to offer to you, and you decide, well, my privilege to choose, my privilege to sift things out in the way that I deem to be appropriate. No, I guess that's gone too. Or if you cave into this demand of theirs, you lose your uniqueness. They want you to just kind of stay inside the grooves, be what they say you're supposed to be. And if you come along and say, well, I have all sorts of distinctives, and their comment is, not in my presence, you don't. Okay, I guess I'll have to lose my uniqueness. Or if you cave to them, you lose your self-respect. I mean, after a while, you begin thinking, well, maybe I am a nobody. They're treating you with certain indignity, and they're treating you with disdain. And the more you submit and go along to get along, even though it goes against your grain, it's like, well, I don't even respect what I think and say anymore. And I know many of you have that story, and that needs to stop. Or in addition, you wind up losing your good communication skills. Typically what happens is when that narcissist comes at you with their themes of dominance and requiring you to submit, you either match pitch with them or you become irritable and you grouse and all of that, and you ask all these loaded questions like, why are you doing this to me? Or why do you have to be that way? And of course it gets nowhere, and your communication skills are just shot, and they're not effective at all because you're allowing them to set your pace. In addition, if you collapse under their dominance, you lose your sense of authenticity. Over time, you realize, well, who I am is not going to be accepted, and so you just kind of put on a shell around yourself. I can't afford to let the real me be known. You lose your enthusiasm for other, more healthy relationships. It's kind of like, why bother? I know that once I get out there and do my own thing, or if I act differently, whether it's in a place of work or inside the family or social organizations or wherever, it's like, it's not going to go well at all. You lose your joy. Anxiety and pessimism begins to creep in, and ultimately you lose your sense of peace because you have this chronic undertow of tension. So the narcissist says, I want, or let's say, I demand your submission. And I'm hoping you're going to say, I'm not giving it to you. I'm not going to do that. That doesn't work for me. Now, I'm hoping that you can also have the notion that says, I'm quite willing to coordinate and seek mutually gratifying exchanges with anyone that comes into my presence, but I'm not going to give my heart and soul over to someone who sees my degradation as the solution to their pitiable insecurity. Now, I hope that videos such as this give you some good insight and good things to think about. And when these people come at you with this requirement for submissions, like, come on, that's no way to live. And they think they've got it all figured out. It's like, okay, I'm going to be different. If you haven't already hit that subscribe button, I would encourage you to do so, because there are plenty more videos that we're going to have coming your direction. Hit the notification bell that goes along with it. Now, it could be that you could use some therapy, and I know that many people who are on this channel with me have made that decision to get counseling and therapy. We have a link below for online therapists. I'm very pleased to be sponsored by the BetterHelp people. I know that it's a very popular way for people to go to seek the help. So if that's something you could use, avail yourself to that. Like I say, we have a link for that. In addition, we have courses, and the courses are very extensive. They require a great deal of work and concentration on your part. And I've put them together, multiple videos and written materials and questions that guide you through in therapeutic process on having boundaries, upon finding yourself and having good relationship connections. We have links below for the courses that are part of my website. And then we have my books and other resources. So avail yourself to all of that. All right. When that narcissist comes with you with all their dominance and invalidation and harshness, and they want your submission, it's like, nope, I understand what's going on. You're in compensation mode, and I'm not playing the role that you want me to play. You may have my name on it, but nope, I'm moving on. Don't give them what they ask. They're coming from a really misinformed position. I want you to have instead your sense of steadiness, because I do in fact want you to be that person of joy and peace.